Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice game. It's from the second round of the TePe Sigeman chess tournament currently being played in Malmo, Sweden. It's Arjun Erigaisi versus Salem. Yesterday we've seen very nice games played by both of them. We've only shown the game Erigaisi played in his game against Alexei Shirov. Very nice double-edged fight. And Salem defeated David Navarra, and now this game you guys will enjoy. It features one of your favorite lines, or rather favorite ways to counter the Caro-Kann, the fantasy variation against the Caro-Kann. So let's dive straight into it. Erigaisi has the white pieces and he opens with e4. We have c6 going for the Caro-Kann, d4, d5, and now Arjun goes for f3. This is the fantasy variation against the Caro-Kann, and it's not extremely popular, but it is very popular. Here, knight to c3, e5, and e captures on d5 are the absolute top choices. Also, knight to d2 is a well-known line, but f3, it's like the fifth most popular option. So let's see how can black deal with this. And the white's idea is pretty clear. He wants black to capture here, and then after f captures on e4, white will keep the strong center, not the usual knight to c3, then black captures, and then we get a knight into the center. So this way, okay, we don't have a knight in the center very early on in the game, but we are saying we want to keep the center pretty much forever. So d captures on e4, we have f captures, and now e5. Makes sense, as the pawn is on c6, so white cannot advance the pawn to d5, knight to f3, and now bishop to g4, pinning the knight here, c3, strengthening the center, and knight to d7 now. So you can see white accomplished what white wanted. The strong center is there. We have bishop to d3, knight g to f6, and now Arjun castles. We have bishop to d6, and now the position has been reached before. There are a couple of moves that are known in this position. The most notable game from 2020, Fabiano Corona versus Alireza Firuza, where knight to a3 was played by Fabi. That game ended in a draw. It was from the Norway chess tournament. But here we have a move that has never been played before, and that is king to h1. So already as of move 9, we have a completely new game. Let's see how Saleh deals with this. So here he castles kingside, bishop to g5, now pinning the knight here, and h6 with bishop to h4 and queen to c7 unpinning, and now we can move the knight. But also if black captures, there's also a knight here, so we don't have to mess up our pawn structure. Knight b to d2 developing, and now b5. We have rook to c1, a nice developing square for the rook, as if the c file opens up. We are already x-raying the black queen. We have a6, and now pawn to a4. Knight to h5 now with idea, so bringing the knight over to f4, attacking the bishop on d3, h3, challenging black's bishop, and now knight to f4. The bishop on d3 is undefended. So we are using this maneuver to our advantage. Bishop back to b1, and now bishop captures on f3. We have rook captures, and now knight back to g6, attacking the bishop here, bishop to f2, and now pawn to c5. So here you can see that black did very well. Black can be very happy with himself. We are attacking the d4 pawn twice, and black should not have a worry in the world. So knight to f1, adding another defender to the d4 pawn. And here, what do you play here with black? It's a very tricky position, and you're, well, you kind of do want to capture here. This is what you've been playing for, but in the game c4 was played, and this will be troublesome for black. So what you play here, of course, if captures, then your queen is attacked. You can move the queen, and okay, the game continues. It's the position is as it is now. Okay, let's say capture some b5 or d5 or some of the moves. But for example, if d5, then c6 might become a nice outpost for white. So white will always be a little bit better in all of these lines. But there is a move you can play, and that is b captures on a4. That's just a very disgusting engine move. It's like a slap in the face, you know. Very few people would actually play this, but it does make sense. You win a pawn, you force the b2 pawn to remain on b2, so if you move it to b3, then black just captures it. And of course, you cannot capture with the queen, because if the queen captures, then c captures on d4 is very strong. Now you can't capture with the c pawn, because the rook on c1 hangs. So b captures on a4, although looking very weird, it is in fact fine. However, after c4, this will now make it a problem for black, and it's a similar idea in pretty much all the other openings. If you abandon the struggle for the center, then you will definitely pay the price. They say that he who controls the center will win the game, and now this is a very massive center, and black is not contesting it in any way. So here, knight to e3. Now the knight is coming to d5 or to f5, depending on what black plays. Probably to d5. The queen is on c7. Rook 8 to d8, and now queen to c2. Now you have to be even more careful if the position opens up. Let's say e captures on d4. We're gonna push the pawn. Let's say the knight isn't here. You can easily imagine a nice checkmate happening here. So rook f to e8. We have rook to f1. Now shifting the attention to the f file, and now we have knight d to f8. Knight to d5, attacking the black queen here, queen to c8, and now bishop to e3. So you can see how Arjun is placing all of his pieces into the attack. The f7 pawn is attacked, so everything is attacked very nicely here. So now after bishop to e3, the f7 pawn is hanging, so we have to do something about this. Knight to h8, defending the pawn, and now comes a captures on b5, a captures, and of course b3. This is how we undermine black's setup. Bishop back to b8, and now b captures on c4. We have b captures on c4 and queen to f2 now, with a triple attack on the f7 square. So queen to b7, adding a defender, and now queen to h4. So how do you defend this? Bishop captures on h6 is a move that will definitely happen. Then if black captures, we gain control over the f6 square. Queen captures on h6. This will be a very quick game. Rook is coming to g3. Not even fun to look at. So here we have knight f to g6, bringing a defender here, also attacking the queen here. Queen to g4, and now comes queen to c6. And this is a very odd decision in a very, very critical situation. Here, offering a queen trade is probably best, but of course white will never trade. White will always just bring the queen to h5. Knight to b4 now, attacking the queen, and now again queen to d6. Here, again, queen to d7 or queen to c8 does make sense. We want to offer a queen trade. And then white would decide whether queen to h5 was better, whether trading was better, but definitely the way to go. After queen to d6, there is one problem here. Black's idea is fine, but there is one move that completely cripples black's position and leaves you with a completely winning position. So feel free to pause the video here and try to figure out this idea for Arjun while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting that e captures on d4 is a terrible threat. And if you've spotted this, then of course you've spotted the move that wins the game, and that of course is pawn to d5. So congratulations to everyone who found this. You are an exceptional positional player. The problem is if you play something like, let's say, h4, you want to play h5, just e captures on d4, and that's it. We're attacking the bishop, threatening checkmate here. And if bishop to f4, we can just play knight captures, rook captures, and now let's say knight g6, we attack the rook, and everything just falls apart for white. You're gonna either suffer severe material loss, or you will get checkmated if the rook moves. So d5 stops all of this, and now what we have here, remember when we said that black's c4 might not have been so great, a bit of an anti-positional idea, but now with the queen side completely closed, with the center of the board completely closed, and white also having a passed d-pawn, all of the attention of the game turns to the king side, and that is where white is definitely stronger. So here, bishop to c7, now comes bishop to a2. We're gonna bring our bishop into the game, and there's really nothing black can do to prevent this. So here we have knight to f4, bishop captures on c4, and now knight h to g6. Okay, so the knight on f4 is very nicely placed, but it doesn't matter. Knight to c6, we attack the rook here, rook to a8, and now pawn to g3, challenging the knight. And what can you do here? There's really no square for this knight. It's just trapped there on f4. So here, rook to a4 was played, attacking the bishop. Now comes bishop to b3, attacking the rook, and rook captures on e4. So here, Saleh knows that he's in a very, very tough situation, and he has to pull a really huge rabbit out of a hat to get out of this one. And here he's doing his very best. Rook captures on e4 is one such idea. The idea is that if the knight is captured, then we're going to play e captures on f4, and black still has a very firm grip on the position. After the bishop moves, we're going to play rook to e2. It's okay. It's not great, but you know, he's fighting back. The two soon to be connected pass pawns will be tough to handle, but you know, it is of course winning for white, but it gives black some chances. However, here Arjun just says queen to f5. We're gonna attack the rook, and the rook has no squares now. So rook captures on e3. We have to grab something at least. Rook captures, and now queen to c5, attacking the rook here. Rook f to e1, and now knight captures on d5, removing the defender of the knight on c6, but queen to d7, and here everything is hanging. The knight here is hanging, the bishop is hanging. If the knight moves, the rook is hanging. So what can you play here? Rook to e6, going after the knight here, and now it seems like you are very, very close to winning this game, but you are also, well, very close to well, just blundering all of your advantage away. So what would you capture the knight with? Or maybe that's not even what you were considering, but capturing the knight is definitely the way to go. Now you could play knight to d8, that's one way to do it, but queen captures on d5 is just much more forcing. If bishop captures on d8, then you allow this knight to f8 trickery, and now black sort of bounces back. Now the queen is attacked, and you have to play something. You're going to play check the black king, and after rook captures, now you're going to play queen to c6, save your bishop here, and after queen captures, bishop captures, let's say g6, black is still in the game, and black will try and fight this. However, after queen captures on d5, it is a little bit different, but also much different, because now queen captures on c6 was played, queen captures, rook captures on c6, and now there's the beautiful finishing touch, rook to f1. Now the f7 pawn is hanging, and there's really no good way to defend it, because if knight to h8, you're already down material, you're down the exchange. Okay, you're up a pawn, but you're down the exchange, and you're gonna be in a very passive position. Bishop d5, we're gonna challenge the rook, and now you either play rook to f6, or if you don't want that, then we're just gonna close the position like this, and black will suffer. So Saleh went rook to f6 right away. He offers a rook trade, but now, okay, rook captures, g captures, and rook to d3. Now you're just up the exchange, and black will have to try and figure something out against well, it's 4 pawns against 3, but still, it's not going to be possible to defend this. Knight to f6, knight to f8, we have g4, king to g7, now comes bishop to d5, bishop to b6, and now pawn to c4. We have knight to g6, rook to b3 now, bishop to d4, and now rook to b7, going after the f7 pawn. So again, if you want to play knight to h8, you can, but that's, I mean, that's your knight will remain there for the rest of the game. So here, of course, it's better just to give up one pawn to try and keep the position active. Knight to f4 was played, king h2, now we have king to g6 and king to g3, still waiting with the capture on f7, knight to e2 with check, king to f3, we have knight to g1 check, king to g2, knight to e2, and now pawn to h4, we have h5, now comes bishop captures on f7, king to h6, and bishop to d5, and it was in this position on move 58 that Salem resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. He is down too much material, and there's just no good way of playing this. No fortresses are possible here. If you just capture, then, well, we have many options, but bishop to e4 is the main one, and this is probably why Saleh resigned so fast, because now there is no move whatsoever that black can play to prevent getting checkmated. It's just well, it's just a really, really tough position to be in. Okay, you could try something like knight to f4 with check, but after the king moves, for example, king h2, knight to g6 now, and now, okay, the knight has to remain there. We're gonna play king g3, capture here, and, well, it's just completely passive, but probably why he resigned. He saw that after captures bishop here, and there's just no more, nothing to play for anymore. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Might even use this one as a thumbnail, as it's well, or maybe not, as it didn't happen in the game. I'll give it a thought. But yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. A very, very nice victory by Arjun Erigaisi, who is now on 2 out of 2, and he's getting very, very close to that 2700 mark. So we'll see if he will be. He might. I mean, of course, if he has such a brilliant tournament, he might even get it in this event. But that would be nothing short of spectacular if something like that would happen. But yeah, once again, hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Paul Hinemund, Michael Kalberer, Asher Fine, Joshua Hadley, and Queen C for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world, such as this wonderful game here. So, thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.